Okay. Yep. Sorry about that. We're back. Not really sure what happened with that stream. It decided to just go away. Kind of like KJ did earlier, kind of conveniently out of there. So, you know, we're back up and running. We were talking about Baylor and Lipscomb Academy guys. You know, Cam, I think you're making a point before it went out that you think Chris Thompson might have like 20 something tackles.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if especially if Tony Carter is out as Joe says he may be, you know, Chris is already putting KT's already putting up great numbers this year, um, and he's going to be attacking the football no matter where it's at. He's like I said, I think he's the best linebacker in the state. So, um, yeah, it's going to be a fun one to watch just to see him run around and be a madman. But I just don't trust this Lipscomb offense yet.
Yeah, Briggs Cherry is just way too much talent for Baylor. He's thrown for 8 scores in 3 games, and he's got talent back there with Tennessee commitment. Joakim Dotson and was it Ole Miss running back commitment Shakai Mills Knight back there. There's a load of talent. Um, as Cam said, I just don't know if their defense is great, but can their offense match it? I don't know.
On to game number 3, Beach and Portland. We talked about this one a little bit earlier. Portland's going to play host to this key region game. Tyson's going with Portland. He's going for the upset. The rest of us are on the Buccaneers.
Yeah, and I mean, I could see it potentially happening, but it's hard to pick a team until it happens. It's like one of those things where, nobody is going to pick Notre Dame or Northern Illinois to beat Notre Dame last week, and now every time they play, people are going to pick Northern Illinois because that's. Anyway, I wasn't going to pick a blowout here. I think Beach is still figuring things out offensively, and Portland realistically should be 3-0 right now. Had they not turned the ball over 5 times last week, they were out playing Davidson Academy. I think this is a really good test for both teams to see where they're at. If Portland can keep this game close or, find a way to win, that shows that they are a legit contender in this region. Beach needs a really good showing here, though, and it's going to be a hard place to get one.
This could be the quickest game of the night. Honestly, if both teams run like they're capable of, this game may be over before other games get to halftime. But really, I'm just riding with DK Williams. He's just playing at another level defensively.
This one might have the dirtiest uniforms of the night too, because that track up in Portland, if it takes on water, you can forget it. There's going to be slipping and sliding everywhere. We may have the mud bowl up there. I don't like a lot of points in this game because of that.
Need Caden Powell to carry the ball quite a bit for Portland in this one, or not Portland Beach in this one.
Yep.
Yeah, I think you could see literally quarterback power from Beach and fullback dive from Portland. That's pretty much what you're going to see in this one.
Mm-hmm. Old school football.
No stop points.
Mm-hmm. Let's go to Paris for our next one, Brentwood and Henry County. Everybody's on the Bruins.
Yeah. I mean, I think Brentwood showed last week that if you're a 5A team, don't play them. And Henry County hasn't really looked great the last couple weeks. So I think Brentwood's kind of coming into their groove right now. And as hard of a place as Henry County may be, I just think Brentwood's kind of a different level.
I'm going to pause for a second because I want to acknowledge this. Matt, if this happens, I want video. I want evidence of this. If you want to jump in there and play, I want to see it.
Yep.
So let's make it happen.
The Bruins offense finally got going with last week with Gavin Nelson. There's nothing wrong with that Bruin defense at all. And this, as Joe said, this isn't the same Patriot team we've seen in the past. Their offense doesn't have the same firepower they had in the past. It's going to be a close game, but I look for the Bruins to keep Henry County's quarterback Aiden Spellings in check for the game.
Yeah, and I think Brentwood is kind of a little bit ahead of where we thought they might be right now. This team that's played pretty good football so far.
Don't have Tyson here to.
Yeah, I'll tell you what he's going to say. This Brentwood team reminds me of last year's Ravenwood team.
but better.
That's pretty much what he would say. Well, we'll see if they're better.
No, I'm saying he would say they're better.
He would
Yeah,
say that.
yeah.
They're a better version of that team.
But I think that's a fair assessment to this point. I would say that.
Kind of. Before we get to this one, that Ravenwood team was young last year. I think the seniors on this Brentwood team are still kind of carrying them with Clayton Merrill and Gavin Nelson. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I think Brentwood's up and coming. It's a big game for them.
Potentially the game of the night, CPA and NBA.
Old school football, man. I think this is a typical CPA NBA. Give me the team that has kind of an established quarterback. NBA starting a freshman at the moment because of Hugh Price's injury. And I think CPA's just got a little too many weapons. I think they get a late score here and they pick up a really impressive win going to that BGA game with some momentum.
Yeah, we talk about old school football, and I think that's what this one's going to be. And I just think CPA's been able to run the ball better the first few weeks. But whoever wins the line of scrimmage is going to win this football game.
You don't tug on Superman's cape. You don't spit into the wind. You don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger, and you don't mess with Ingle Martin in the fall.
Thank you, Scott Croce. Isaac going lone wolf with the pick on the big red. He's going to go for one of those valuable told you so picks.
Yep.
Davidson Academy BGA, and I want to kind of downgrade this just a little bit on the grass at BGA if they do indeed have that wet track like we're thinking it's going to be. I don't know that the points are going to be there.
I do. I'm rolling with the Wildcats by a lot. I just think they're a different level. Davidson's had a couple of close calls the last couple of weeks. I think that comes back to bite them in BGA. I mean, for us, Chris, going into next week, I want this matchup to be everything I want. I mean,
Yeah.
CPA BGA is – they're playing tomorrow. They are playing tomorrow night, right?
Yeah, they have moved up to Thursday night. And I do want to say the second half of last week against National Christian was a preview of what we might see tomorrow because they had some bad snaps with wet balls. And, that's something they're going to have to prepare for because if they're playing in the rain, you got to deal with it.
We talk about trap games. This is for sure a trap game for BGA. They've got all the momentum. They're getting all the publicity. And you got a Davidson Academy team that has not answered all their questions to this point. Let's just put it that way. They come into the season with several questions after losing their quarterback. They knew they had Caden Stroud coming back at running back, but what else did they have around him, right? Wet playing conditions favors Davidson in this one. The game being at BGA favors BGA, so that kind of marks 1-1. BGA having CPA next week is huge psychologically. So big time trap game here, but I still think BGA's offense will be able to move the ball pretty easily against Davidson.
Can't get caught.
Yeah.
With it.
I think this rolls from if it comes a monsoon, it becomes an Ethan Kellen, Caden Stroud game. If that's the case, the game does get closer, but there is another variable, and that is Caden Marable. Did not intend to do that because he runs so well with the ball, and because he does run so well with the ball, that's an additional running back there. So you can't just focus on Kellum, and I would expect to see Arnett, factor into the running game in some way, shape, or form as well.
Going to keep it moving. Lawson Centennial. We talked about Lawson's big win over Stratford last week. Centennial, we've all got Centennial on this one, but this has potential.
Yeah, I apologize to Lawson. I won't apologize next week if I get this wrong. I just think Centennial is a little better, a little more established. Lawson can maybe still be flying a little too high off last week's win. Centennial takes advantage of that, and they kind of secure themselves as that number 2 spot in the region right now.
Yeah, the weather when we put our picks in was a little undetermined, so I don't think either team's going to score in the 30s.
No,
I think it could potentially be a 21-14 type game.
I think you're right on target there. Yeah, I mean, you talk about this Austin squad. In the second year, they're far ahead of where everyone except probably Brian Lilly and the players thought they would be at this point. That being said, Centennial rumors of their demise have been,
Greatly.
they're not true. So, sorry, lost my poetic license there for just a second. I think that the Cougars in a close one, they just have a superior running game, in my opinion.
I don't have as much concern about the scoring on the turf there at Centennial, though, and the surface won't be an issue like it will be on those grass fields. That's kind of the one thing I think it's going for him in this game.
Yeah.
Stewart's Creek and Rockville over on that new turf at Rockville, which, by the way, is legit if you haven't seen it. It's awesome the way they've done that.
Mm-hmm.
But we've all got the Red Hawks here.
Yeah, revenge game for Stewart's Creek after they lost by 8 last year, I believe, to Rockville. I think they're playing a little better right now than Rockville. Rockville's had a lot of close scores. Stewart's Creek had a big win last week, and I think they kind of keep the momentum going.
Yeah, I mean, you hate to see teams like Rockville that's 1-2 and their 2 losses are by combined 5 points. So hate to see that. I think this is going to be a really, really tight football game. I think one mistake could swing the game either way. But yeah, I like the momentum that Stewart's Creek's carrying into week 4.
Yep.
I think this game is important to both teams. Very important to both teams. Just simply, if Stewart's Creek can get the win here, they're feeling good going into region play. Rockville really needs a win in the worst way. That could turn. This is one of those games that doesn't matter, but it really does.
This is also the TV game this week, and Rockville needs this win, I think, more so than Stewart's Creek, because if you look at their schedule, next week they've got Riverdale. The week after that, they're at Oakland. Their schedule gets a little bit softer the second half, but if they don't get this one, you could be looking at potentially 1-5 start.
Yeah.
White House and Whites Creek up next. Now, Whites Creek started 2-0. Now, White House, had that week 1 loss to Portland, but they played well since then.
Yeah, I wasn't comfortable with this game. Just looking at the weather, I was like, it favors a White House win because White House on the ground.
Yeah, Michael Albine, I think that's how you say his name.
I think he could have a big game. If this turns into a game where it's a torrential downpour and White's Creek is forced to throw the ball to Deion Barnes, he hasn't. It's hard. This was a hard game to pick, which is it's good to see with White's Creek because, I mean, a year ago we wouldn't be saying this. I think the Cobras have kind of turned the corner. A win here would be massive. It really kind of sets them up in a really good spot in the region. But I saw White House week 1, and I just think their power run game, if the weather's bad, it's going to favor them here. Yeah,
no doubt. I made this pick before Jim Cantori came to town. Had I known the conditions were going to be what they're going to be, I probably, because I have it as a 1-point game. So it's going to be the details that are going to matter in this game. And I think White House, Coach Hamilton just does a tremendous job with that, getting the most out of his players every year.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you one of the names that has not been discussed on our show yet. Me and Joe got to see him in person. His name's Dawson Carson. Mm-hmm. Maybe you've got that backwards. Carson Dawson or Dawson Carson. It's one of the two. You'll be able to see him when you get out there because he's about 6'5" and about 275 pounds. He's a big individual, and Deion Barnes will be running for his life. I do think that can White's Creek defense get enough stops? I think they're going to be able to score. I really do. But can they get enough stops?
I think they got the speed to really give White House some issues. We saw that Portland did that week 1. It just comes down to if it's a clean night out there, they can put up points. I'll be at this one Friday night. So
Cam, there you go. It's Dawson Carson. So.
Thank you.
This is an exciting game. I'm really excited to get out there and see that turf for the first time
Yeah, y'all know I love
Yeah.
Saving My Shot, and this is my shot for the week because I just think White House does not have the speed to keep up. And on the grass, I'm giving it to White House 100%, but not in the turf.
That's
Sorry,
fair.
guys.
It'll be cool when I catch up on you. It's fine.
Our spotlight game is Franklin Independence, and you're probably asking why a 1-2 at an 0-3 team. Well, there's probably no game with more playoff stakes than this one because the loser of this one is almost assuredly out. They're going to have to
Yep.
beat Summit and Overton to get in, and that's not a given.
No. And this was a triple overtime game last year that Summit won, so should be a good game.
mean
Franklin's
Independence.
greatly improved, or Indy. Yeah, you're right. Sorry. Franklin's greatly improved. Talked to a couple Page players last week or over the weekend, and they said this Franklin team is nasty. They said they are nasty up front. So give me that team. Indy's kind of reeling at the moment. I think Franklin could take advantage of that, and they want to play off berth. This is the game to get it.
Yeah, I leaned Franklin just because Independence struggles on offense early on. Now, granted, they've played Oakland and they played Page, so there's not very many teams that played defenses like that. So, but yeah, I just think Franklin finds a way to get it done in the biggest game for playoff purposes in the mid-state.
Yeah, and Independence is not going to want to play any more teams than the Patriots this year, and they don't have to, at least for the regular season. But after this game, it's Beach, Ravenwood, Overton, Fairview, Brentwood, and Summit. It does not get any easier.
Good.
No. I watched the Franklin Page game over again, and let me tell you, this Franklin defense really played out. They really played well against Page, and had it not been some bad penalties, they had a real shot to make that game even closer than it was. I just think that we've seen Independence struggle against good defenses, and they're going to see another one this week.
You look at the schedule for Franklin, and they don't have to travel very far at all this year. Their longest road trip is going to be at Mount Juliet in Week 10 on October 25th. Everything else is going to be either to FRA, which is just up the Franklin Road, or within Williamson County. So bus rides aren't an issue for this group, and I like for them to come out fresh and ready to go in a big game. All right. A little more business for us to tend to here. Our friends at the Humane Society of Sumner County have been helpful with us with our pick of the week this year so far, but the picks haven't fared that well. They're 0-3 so far, and we're going to try to turn it around this week.
This is Mason. His name was Manson. We changed it to Mason. Didn't like the Manson. He was a pound pull. They had trapped him thinking he was feral, and they were able to reach right in and pull him out, and he turned out to be super friendly. So when I was out at the pound, I went ahead and took him. And then we took him and got everything done, and he is AIDS positive. So it is FIV, feline AIDS. He is about 1 year old, but he is actually quite healthy even with having AIDS. So he would either need to be the only kitty or with another kitty, because this is his friend Heathcliff, who also has feline AIDS. They're buddies, but it's transferred through blood. So unless it's like a deep wound bite, something along those lines, it's really not as easy to transfer. But they do get sicker easier, just like humans with AIDS. If you got sick, you might get pneumonia kind of thing. So if he were to get sick, then he may go down a little bit quicker. But as long as you know that it's AIDS, there are some other things like immune system and stuff to get him back to being healthy. But he is a very large, healthy boy currently. He gets all the treats he wants, and he kind of runs the office. But he is super sweet. He's about 1 year old, male tabby, and he's just a really awesome boy. He seems to like kids, cats, dogs. When the dogs walk by and the door's open, he will reach out and pet the dogs. So he is a pretty happy-go-lucky guy. And with the AIDS thing, knowing he's good with dogs, if you had a dog and want a cat, he would be a perfect addition to your family because he loves everyone. And he's a very good boy.
All right.
He's so friendly.
I mean, he's just a little motorboat all day long. He's a sweet guy, but the AIDS holds people back a lot.
I think
it
they
is
get-
a thing, but it's really not.
Yeah, I think they get like they hear the word AIDS and they're like, oh.
Oh, well, and they think they can catch it and stuff. You can't catch these things. Now, there are things you can catch
Yeah.
from cats, but not that. More
Yeah, if a
along
cat-
the line of worms and ringworm and stuff like that. Can
Well,
you
they
get
think
from
if like a
guinea-
cat bites me, I'm gonna get AIDS. It's like, well, if a
Oh,
cat bites you, there's
with
so many things.
My
you can
two
get.
herpes cats, people lost it all the time. And I'm like, it is not human herpes. It does not transfer that way. And they're like, I didn't know cats could have that. Cats can have all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
You ready? All right. So there's treats. You just want pets, goofball. Treats. Look. Looky, 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 looky. Okay. So we have.
It's Franklin.
That's your only choice, buddy?
Kind of reminds me of
You
Reggie.
gonna go eat those two?
Learn something every week with one of these.
Yeah.
Yeah, that I'd really like to be. I just can't wait to report. When we get a win with one of these, and one of these very deserving animals get their forever home. I can't express, just what a great job the people at Sumner Humane Society do to take care of wayward animals and animals with special needs. It's just a great, great organization. So glad we teamed up with.
I want for one of these when we have a cat just to let it knock off one of the two picks and leave the other one standing as a winner.
Yeah.
Just as cats do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
No, he's a great cat. He's very friendly. Just, like they said, when you hear the word age, you kind of get turned off by that because, you don't want your other animals to get it. It is hard. It's through blood. So he's a sweet cat. If you want a little love bug, he is the guy. He is so sweet. And we picked Franklin. So now I'm kind of questioning my pick this week.
Yeah, the most chill
Set
cat.
back up, Chris.
So maybe. Oh, okay. So we're gonna go back to this.
Yeah, just pop up Matt's. Yeah. Matt, I put my money where my mouth is. I actually adopted two
Yeah.
cats from a shelter.
Yep, he's got. What's their name, Scott?
But Butch and Sundance. Okay, one's black. They're brothers, both little boys, and I adopted two. So, I started off, guys. You guys keep it going.
And are they in pick training or?
They are. They're in pick training. They're climbing the mountains and lifting the wagons and all the other rocky segments.
All right. Well, we had some issues that forced us to split this show up into two different parts, but we've arrived at that time of the week to call it quits. And guys, last word before week 4. Cam, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, it's going to be rough weather. If you don't think you can bear it, stay at home. NFHS, great place to watch games. The MyTV 30 game should be a really good one this week with Stewart's Creek and Rockville. But be supportive. Go out and see games if you can, if you want to. And we're already almost at the halfway point. I know that's a hard pill to swallow, but we're getting there quickly. And what some big games we have this week. Just looking forward to where the season goes. My slogan for this show was finding the midseason groove. I think we're all closing back in on that 80% mark, which is where we ended last year. I think that's should be the standard for us. And you find us another team out there full of guys that pick 80% of what will wind up being over 700 games.
Episode 2 of Climbing the Hill is out now. We really focused in on the voices of Green Hill sports in general. So not your typical episode. I wanted to focus on some guys that really bring that program to life that you don't really see out on the field. So great guys there. The Green Hill Sports Network's a big reason why we're doing this project with them, and you learn a lot about them. So it's a lot of fun. Make sure you check that out. It's up on our YouTube channel now. I'm actually socialing it out as we speak. And Isaac's Love to Hate. That's going to be out here shortly as well. So make sure you're tuned into that. Subscribe to all of our social media platforms. We'll have updates throughout the weekend, and hopefully we get through tomorrow and Friday without too much weather, even though that's hopeful thinking.
My turn. Sorry. Yeah, I want to take a moment just to kind of pat these other guys on the back since I can't do it in person. Look, we have some very, very talented people on this staff, myself being the exception. Joe, and with his Green Hill project and a lot of his write-ups, Isaac with his projects, Chris behind the scenes doing all the graphics, Cam out there in the field getting the photos. We enjoy doing it, but I think that a lot of it is, from time to time, we enjoy putting this content out there. We do definitely need sponsorships to continue to do things like we're doing. But I just thought that those guys, I'm in support of those guys 100%. They've got great ideas, and folks, we're not behind a paywall. And I do have something else to announce. We are actually working with Aero Sports now. They're going to be doing a live stream. Chris will probably be, or Joe will probably be putting out the link. They're actually doing a live stream of this Page game this week. So if you can't make it out to a game, you can tune into that. We'll link up to it. You can listen in to Chris, not our Chris, but Chris who does the his last name starts with B. I can't even do Chris B. But a lot more to come from us. And I just can't tell you how blessed I am to work with such a great group of guys.
Yeah, well, Scott, appreciate that. Chris Bosen with Aero Sports will have a call over there at Laverne tomorrow night with that Page Laverne game. So we'll have a link to that on our website, and you guys can listen into that if you want to stay dry. So certainly adding more to our coverage. We're having discussions all the time about what we can do to add on, make things better, and just make it a better product for you to consume for free. And those last two words are the biggest key: for free. We don't put it behind a paywall. We don't want to, but it's important that we get enough support from the community to help us keep it free. So tell your friends, tell anybody who's looking to advertise, hey, get with us. We can make that happen, but we just want to talk to you. So we do it because we love it. It's fun, and we hope you enjoy it. And for all of us here at 615 Preps, I'm going to bring us back in 4 wide for tonight. Unfortunately, KJ had a duck out, but for Scott, Cam, Joe, Tyson, and Isaac, who couldn't be here tonight, I'm Chris. We will talk to you Saturday, hopefully at 9 a.m. If there's some weather and games get moved to Saturday, we will let you know about those plans to live stream that show more unlikely on Sunday. So right now it's 9 a.m. for the scoreboard on Saturday, but that's still to be determined. So for all of us here at 615 Preps, go check out those shows on our YouTube channel and Isaac's YouTube channel as well. And we will see you next time.